Hello, Nikolai Markovich from Echolake Technologies, echolaketech.com. In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to implement opt-in pop-ups or those promotional pop-ups that you see on a number of websites these days. Let me just quickly do a demo here where I have a pop-up that will show in about 5 seconds here. Okay, there's the first one. And then the way I have this set up is when I close this pop-up, I have a 10-second delay, and then a second pop-up will open up on the screen here. So in a couple more seconds here, you'll see a second pop-up that's going to open here. And it should go, there it is. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen in a number of websites these pop-ups. You go to a website and all of a sudden a pop-up appears after a few seconds. So I'm going to walk through the design here and show you how to do that. But the other thing I'm going to show you, a second way of implementing the pop-up, an opt-in pop-up, is you see the scroll position here. And I'm sure you've also seen on some websites as you scroll through, all of a sudden a pop-up will open. So I had this set up for 600 pixels that this pop-up would open, and it's a one-time pop-up, so I can scroll back and forth past the 600 pixel mark, and it's only going to open that pop-up once. So let's get into the design. But before we do that, please subscribe to my channel, and if this video is providing you value, give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate that. So let's jump into the design here. So I've got 3 different pop-ups. This was the first pop-up here, and I just have a simple message here. For yours, you could have an input field here for subscribing to your app, to your channel, whatever it may be. And so for this one here, again, just a simple text with a link to the YouTube channel that I have. And to set up this pop-up, again, you just scroll down here to the elements, and you see pop-up, and you just create your pop-up, put whatever text you would like into it. So text element here, whatever you may like. Button to close it, or whatever actions you may want your users to take on there. And then again, if you wanted it for an opt-in page, you could put an input on here, and then instead of content format to be text, you could have it as email, so they would enter in an email address, and so forth. So it's basically up to what you would like to do for your opt-in or your pop-up. Again, it could be a promotional pop-up for discounts for something you might be selling. So this first pop-up, it just has a simple message. And then after a certain period of time, I have a second pop-up. It's very similar. And again, this is just a simple message text field here that I have. Added the link. And if you're not familiar on how to add the links, basically just type in test. Actually, go to this little icon here, and then whatever your test, your URL may be, just add it in there, and then the description, and just insert it. And then for the close button, it's just a simple hide the pop-up. So element actions, hide, and then the name of the pop-up. And then the third one is, again, similar to the other ones. Thanks for reading this far. So again, this one was triggered by scrolling through the page, and then the pop-up will open. Now let's get into the workflows for these. So it's first workflow here when the page is loaded. And you'll see I have another page is loaded here. It's okay to have a second page is loaded. If you can combine them, you should try to combine them. But just to get this demo up and running, I created another page loaded event here. And then scroll to index. So this one, basically all it does is it just scrolls to the top of the screen here. So if I scroll down to the bottom and then update the page, It's just going to scroll right back to the top. And I've got a lot of plugins into this demo page, so it's taking a little bit longer to load. Looks like it's hanging up on Stripe here, but eventually this is going to load. Let me go back over to the design here. So scroll index, offset pixels, so 0 is going to bring right to the top of the page. Add a pause. Okay, so for this one here, we're just basically adding a 5-second pause before the next action is taken. And the next action taken is just to show the pop-up. So let's just kind of go through how to get this, these steps in place. So element actions, scroll to, pick index for the page. You could, so there's groups, you could actually set this up to scroll to certain locations on groups, but I'm doing it for the page level, and the default is 0. So that's how you set up scroll to page. For adding a pause element, actually it's under navigation, add a pause to next action. Default is 1 second. Hide the status bar as a pause concern. So I do check this off. The reason being, and this is still loading here. The reason being is because it'll show the bar across the screen here. And by clicking this checkbox here, it won't show that status bar. So that's how you get the pause added. And again, just for this one, I did 5 seconds. And then showing the pop-up, element action, show, pop-up, number 1. So it's a pretty straightforward flow here, just a few steps to do it. And then for this next one, actually this is number 3. I'm going to come back to that one in a moment. Let me go to pop-up number 2. So for pop-up number 2, actually, I got ahead of myself. So page is loaded. Let me just show you how to get that one, that event. So come down here, add event, and general, when page is loaded. And that's how you get that event. I'm going to scroll down here to pop-up message number 1. And for this one, similar as before, add a pause before next action. This one's a 10-second instead of 5-second. And I thought I'd click that off. There we go. So I've got that so that the status bar won't show. And then again, showing pop-up number 2. So same steps as we did up above here. And then the last one to get pop-up number 3. So this one is, got ahead of myself again here. So pop-up message is closed. So let's go back here to get the event. Elements, pop-up is closed. And that's how we get that, and choose the pop-up when pop-up 1 is closed. And then you can add the actions. So that's how we get to the pop-up message is closed. And for this last one, when the current page scrolling position is greater than 600 pixels, and we do it just once. You could do it every time. If you do it every time, once you go less than 600 pixels, and then over 600 pixels, that pop-up will open. So for this demo, I just did it for just once. And then similarly, just showing pop-up message number 3 for that one. So again, element actions, show pop-up number 3, like that. And to get the current page scrolling position, add an event, elements, actually general, when the condition is true. And the condition is when current page, scroll down to the bottom here. Let's see. Current page scrolling position at the bottom here is greater than or equal to 600. So the 600 you type in manually, but Bubble will provide you all of the other choices here. And that's all you do for setting up that, that conditional, and then simply add the element action, show, pop-up, number 3. And it's really that simple to implement. The other thing you'll note on here, so as I was scrolling up and down through the workflows here, you could see I quickly was able to come down to pop-up message number 1. I've got a lot of different workflows in here. So just a little tip for you, and I do have a video to explain this a bit more for helping to manage all these different workflows, is I just changed the event color. The default value is gray. And you can see a lot of different gray ones. So as you scroll around, it's kind of hard to sometimes see which one you want to look at. So for this one, in this video, I knew that I would have some workflows for these opt-in pop-ups. So I just made them all the same color, cyan. And that way it's easier to go and take a look at which workflows are associated to the pop-ups. And that's basically all there is to setting this up. And I think it's a very powerful tool. Again, there's 2 different ways you could have done this based on the time. So I had it for 5 seconds for the first pop-up, 10 seconds for the second pop-up. Or you could do it based on users scrolling through your app. I hope this was a helpful video for you. Again, give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate those, and subscribe to my channel for future videos. Thanks.